Hi, my name is Ben. This video is about the most efficient steps to take in order to make engaging content for students. Watch this video until the end because one of these tips is so simple and so effective, and yet so many instructional videos on YouTube don't do this. Anyway, as I shoot this, I have teachers in mind. Teachers who are working remotely and need to deliver content to their students on a regular basis. However, this video would also be good for beginner YouTubers who are looking for some tips to get started if they want to make instructional videos. Before I begin, I'd like you to scroll down and take a look at the description for this video. You can go ahead and do that right now. You'll see that there's a clickable index there. You can go ahead and skip to any part that you feel is most relevant to you. I'd like to emphasize that the focus of this video is technical guidance. I'll be talking about equipment and editing techniques, thinking specifically about how can you do things quickly and yet be effective. You can imagine this like a quotient where the numerator is viewer engagement and the denominator is time and money. I want to optimize this quotient. Now, if time and money were no object, you could surely make stellar videos with professional editing software and expensive equipment. But this is about the equipment that you already have. Finally, when it comes to the actual content in your video, what you're teaching, how you explain it, what you're showing students, that part is still up to you. Okay, so let's start by talking about the best platform to deliver your content. I'm not sure if I really need to say this, but I use YouTube to deliver video content. That's also going to be the focus of this video, but it's not the only option, and it's important that you consider what platform to use. Here are some things worth considering. In favor of YouTube, it allows you to make videos on your own device rather than have to make them in a specific app. It's also free storage for your videos. I have a video that I posted on YouTube 14 years ago, and if I wanted, I could still download the raw file today. Thirdly, you may already know that YouTube is the second largest search engine, so it can boast discoverability in a way that no other platform can. If you happen to be especially good at this, and your students share your videos with their peers, you could even get to the point where you're making money on YouTube. There are reasons to not use YouTube, with the biggest being safety. Many parents will have issues if you require your students to go onto YouTube to find your content. Even if you embed the videos in another site, suggested videos will pop up at the end of the video or when the user pauses. Then of course there's comments, which you should disable when you're posting content for children on YouTube. By comparison, having your videos posted on a site designed for educators is a much safer environment where students can comment to each other, and hopefully there's more transparent moderation by the community at your school. Speaking from my own experience, I've only ever used Educreations other than YouTube. Educreations is a whiteboard app that records your voice, and you can post the videos for students on the Educreations site. You also have better control over the privacy settings where only selected users can log in and edit comments. I used it like 5 years ago, and I'm not sure what kinds of things have changed. It might even be more sophisticated now. There were a lot of things I liked about Educreations, but for me, having to only make videos in the app was limiting, and I also wanted to share my app with more people than just my students, so I went to YouTube. I was also teaching high school students, and I never had a parent approach me to raise a concern about content being posted on YouTube. Ultimately, this is a decision you will have to make. What I cover in this video is independent of whether or not you use YouTube. I'm simply saying it's something that you should ask yourself and make a decision about before you get started. If you have questions about this or you would like to make recommendations, please post them in the comments below. Next, I'd like to talk about equipment. At the beginning of this video, I said you could use the equipment you already have, but even working with what you already have, you have several options. So I'd like to discuss those options and the effect they will have on viewers by just showing you a comparison. We're going to start with audio. Right now I'm using this condenser mic that I got off of Amazon. This is a little lapel mic that I also got off of Amazon. By comparison, this is the microphone that's built into the Sony camera that I'm using. This is the microphone built into my laptop. And finally, this is the microphone on my voice memos app on my iPhone. Hopefully by showing you those 4 comparisons, it's clear why I prefer to use the condenser mic, or when I'm not sitting down, why I use the lapel mic. But you should also see how much better the iPhone microphone is when I just hold it up close to my face. And in fact, my iPhone took a little fall a while ago, and I think the microphone was affected. I believe iPhone in good condition would sound even better than that. I hope you also noticed if you're relying on the microphone in your camera that's mounted on your tripod, or if you're relying on the microphone on your laptop computer, the sound is much more hollower. It sounds you're in a big empty room, and it can be very distracting for a viewer. So if you're going to shoot your videos, consider recording your audio separately. Next, we're going to move to video. Let me go ahead and show you the setup that I have right now. If you're just starting with making videos, I probably have some equipment that you don't have, and that's okay. I have these lights. They're very nice. You don't have to have lights like this. You can use a lamp. I would like to show you the difference between these lights and no lights at all, or just ambient light. I'm also using a Sony camera as opposed to an iPhone, which I would imagine most people would use, or even just a laptop self-facing camera. So right now, the Sony camera, right here, this is my laptop camera, and this is my iPhone camera. It's an iPhone 10. Let's turn the lights off now. So this is the Sony camera without the bright lights on. This is the laptop camera, and this is the iPhone camera. Now, I know those comparisons went by quickly, so let's take a look at some stills side by side. On the right, we have my Sony camera. On the left, the iPhone camera. You can see there's not a huge difference here. The iPhone camera is perfectly acceptable. However, let's take away the light. These are the same cameras, but this time when the lights are turned off. By far, the bigger difference isn't which camera you're using, but how well you're being lit. So when you're filming instructional videos, take the time to find a light that makes you look better. A camera's whole job is to capture light. So if you're not being lit, you're not going to look good. Tips 3 and 4. In my opinion, and from the feedback students have given me, these are the fastest and the most important tips for making higher quality instructional videos. So much so that when I originally shot this video, I went so in depth about these 2 points that I ultimately decided to make a separate video tutorial about how to do it properly. In this video, I'm going to merely mention them. They can practically be combined into one. The third tip is to strategically use screen recordings of apps, presentations, or whiteboards that you can present to your students and show them how to do whatever it is that you're explaining. And the fourth tip is whenever you take a screen recording, always put your face and your expressions embedded on top of that recording. You're going to see me do this in just a minute. This has such a profound impact on students because it allows them to stay connected with you while you're performing some task. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Anyway, I probably don't even have to show you because if you've been using YouTube to watch instructional videos like this one, you've probably noticed the difference between people who make videos without that superimposed shot of themselves and those who do. People who do that are much more effective. So if this is not something that you do, it's very, very simple. Please check out the instructional video that I've included in the link below or the card above. All right, let's move on to the last tip. Tip 5, which is how to embed these indexes inside your description. This is pretty simple, and you can watch me do it on YouTube right now with one of my own videos. In so doing, I'll also show you how much more effective it is when you can see my face. I'm inside YouTube Studio, and I'm looking at my video on my Tesla Powerwall review. So we'll go into the details for that video, and I'm actually going to have to open this up in 2 screens. So we'll just open this up in a new tab. And I'm going to jump to the part where I show the index. Okay, so the first item in my contents is getting started, which happens at 53 seconds. So I'm going to jump to 53 seconds. .54 is okay. And I'm just going to right click. We'll say copy video URL at current time. And then back in my video details, we'll just paste those links. Now let's suppose I take away my face. So I'm still going through and looking through the video. But you'll notice that when I'm not speaking, it's really hard to understand what I'm doing. And if there's a moment of silence, it can be really boring, almost like the audio turned off. You disconnect with your speaker. It's very ineffective. But when I pop my face up here, even if I'm just looking or scanning and reading, you can see what I'm doing. It makes the viewer feel like they understand what's going on at all times, which is really the purpose of an instructional video. So those are my 5 tips. Check out how you're recording audio. Look into how you can improve your video with something as simple as a light. Use screen recording and edit so that your face is put on top of any screen recording, any presentation. And finally, include an index. It's helpful for students to review your video later or jump around to important parts. I hope you found this video helpful. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. You can put your questions in the comments. I'm always reviewing those. And if you liked how I explain things, this is a channel about innovation. I talk about teacher practices, I talk about technology, and I talk about creativity in general. So if that interests you, I hope that you'll subscribe, and I'll see you around. Thank you very much for watching.